Okay. Question came up tonight about how long it would take for the DEC to react to cracks in the cap. I think I can help answer that. Judging by the pictures in the annual Haley and Aldrich annual report, the pictures are taken in warm weather. The Haley and Aldrich report is sent to the DEC, or it's finalized, and I believe it's sent to the DEC in mid-March of the following year. I called Lynn Winterberger, the DEC site manager, December 9th of this past year, asking her about the 2024 report because it hadn't been made available yet. And she said that they were still reviewing it and it'd be made available after Christmas. So it's about a year and a half that the DEC probably would even see those cracks. Another thing Ms. Winterberger told me is the DEC is shorthanded. I called her in November. November 10th was my initial call with her. And in talking with her, she told me that there weren't any VOCs in the landfill. She said it was just non-volatile metals. So I had to take her to the reason of decision, the 1986 reason of decision, to show her the 6 VOCs or solvents that were in the landfill. Isn't that something? And so when I hear all this about the DEC being so great and I can go to bed at night and sleep so well, I don't buy any of that. I'm sorry. It's baloney. Then the other thing is I like my neighbors are concerned about rainwater getting into that cap. It's even more concerning given that the 2024 report from Haley and Aldrich showed that they discussed a 2/3 reduction in wastewater recovery. And from the graph that was included with the report, that started in 2022. So prior to 2022, they were recovering something like 1.5 million gallons a year, me eyeballing the graph, and it dropped down for a 3-year average afterwards, starting in 2022 for about 500,000. Groundwater not collected in the trench, if it does somehow manage to get down into the landfill, that could move into Grand Meadows subdivision. It moves north into the subdivision. And in the 2024 report, they said that Xerox continues evaluating the landfill pumping operations. That's just a wait and see. So the 2024 report was like the 3rd year of this 2/3 reduction in wastewater, 1 million gallons less per year pumped out of there. And they're just going to just wait and see. We'll see what happens. So I don't believe that this is zero risk. And the biggest problem is if this ever does migrate into our subdivision, there'll be no one doing that. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Next is David Blaho. I hope I am saying that correctly.
Good evening. My name is David Blaho, and I currently live with my wife on the Pine Lakes Trail in the meadows of Webster Track with fellow neighbors. I've resided in the town of Webster for 34 years. I've paid over $200,000 in town and school taxes, just to give you some background, by virtue of owning 3 homes in Webster. We're committed to Webster. That's why we've been here so long. First off, I'd like to point out and make it clear, we, my wife and I, are not opposed to solar energy in general. Let's make that clear and simple, okay? However, we are opposed to its placement at this location, 139 Caracas Drive, for the following reasons. As has already been brought up on many occasions, the major environmental issues, the concern of disturbing the brownfield site. The cap is constructed of asphalt, to my understanding, uh, which at the time, I'm sure, was designed to cover the site and not necessarily to hold up heavy solar panels, related hardware, including ballast to stabilize the solar panels. The site of the solar farm is approximately 20 acres. Of that 20 acres, approximately 17 consist of mature trees, which in turn house wildlife habitat. Those approximate 17 acres will have to be destroyed. Whether you tear them out, whether you cut them at the base, it's irrelevant. They're destroyed. They took years to grow. Most importantly, I'd like to point out, I don't think anybody, or well, not anybody, but I was shocked, and I've been following this for a while, to give you a visual size of 20 acres. That's equivalent to 15 football fields, and we all know football. 15 football fields, not stadium, fields. Regarding noise concerns, even if it's minimal noise, they can be what's called tonal noise, which is more annoying than broadband noise at the same volume. Currently, there is no noise. The solar panels can contain lead, or I believe it's cadmium. Excuse me if I get it wrong. If there is a breakage or fire, this could lead to more chemicals leaching into the ground. All of these issues have been brought up several times by different people. To me, this lends credence to the issues at hand. With all due respect, both Xerox and Montante corporations are worth multi-million dollars. If this vote is no for the solar project, it will be a minor setback for them. If the vote is yes, it will be 25 to 30 years of worry, annoyance, and concern for the community based on everything you've heard in our hearing. It's important to point out that what should be obvious, the everyday person works most of their lives to save their biggest investment, that being a home. A lot of people take a lot of time and pride to pick out their home, especially their retirement home. Most of us in this community are retired, and more than likely, I know for sure, my wife and I will be the last home that we'll purchase. With that home, there should be an expectation and ability to relax in a peaceful environment without unnecessary concerns that the solar project can bring.
My body truly grew weary of bending over to trim my nails, often pricking myself in the process, until my neighbor.
That being said, I'm asking you please vote no to the installation of the solar farm at 139 Caracas Drive. I'd like to point out very, very quickly, in 2022, the EPA and the DOJ announced settlements with 4 solar farms in Alabama, Idaho, and Illinois, which led to over $1 million settlement. In 2024,
You are at your 5 minutes.
in 2024, state officials investigated a large solar farm after heavy rains caused topsoil and silt to flood ponds and streams, creating dead water.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, believe it's your wife, Jen.
Hi, yes, I'm Jen Bleho. I live on Pine Lakes Trail. I know the previous speaker spoke to more statistics and research, so I'll defer to them on that. I'm really just here to speak as a lifetime Webster resident. My childhood home on London Road in the Village is literally 2.5 miles door to door to the home that my husband and I built to hopefully be our retirement home. I don't know if that's just sad or a nice full circle moment, but I guess time will tell. But what I do know is that Webster has always been my home. And even now, when we're running errands through towns like Greece, Henrietta, Irondequoit, where we cringe driving through them sometimes, we're always so relieved to come home to Webster. And I have seen a lot of growth and change and development in Webster over my lifetime, a lot of which I've benefited from, like Holt Road Wegmans or the convenience of having Kohl's or Target nearby. But we've reached a point of saturation where enough is enough. And if we continue at this pace, we'll have destroyed our town like the others have been and will no longer be a relief to come home to. Now we have this monstrosity, which I won't give any deceitful, pleasant connotations to by calling it a farm or a garden, because it's just not, and it's not keeping with what Webster is supposed to be about. And on the contrary, it has many negatives and potential risks from being constructed in this location. So speaking only to location, I would say that you should disregard any messages of support you may have received, because not because they disagree with me, but because anything I've seen or heard in quote unquote support has only been advocating for solar power in general. Nothing about supporting it being in this location. And that is all this is about. You shouldn't be looking at this as we have so many residents in support, so many residents against, and they basically cancel each other out, because they absolutely do not. This is not a dispute over the pros and cons of solar power, because if it is, I'm pretty sure we're all okay with solar power. So Montante can feel free to take their panels, move them down the road, and dump them in an area that's already been destroyed, like a parking lot that sits empty, maybe an area that doesn't require demolishing almost 17 more acres of not small, but very mature trees and plants that are home to so much wildlife, and a location that immediately backs up to a residential neighborhood, and most importantly, isn't dumped on top of a potentially dangerous toxic waste area that could negatively impact the integrity of its protective cap. Why should it not go here? Because the safety of this location absolutely cannot be guaranteed as completely safe, and therefore shouldn't even be a consideration, because by the time an issue or problem is discovered, it will be too late. I believe the responsibility each of you has is to the residents of Webster and what legacy you want to leave behind and have associated with your names. Montante is going to pack up their presentation here and move on. They don't care about Webster or its residents, but you on this board actually are supposed to. You're going to remain here and are supposed to be voting with an ethical obligation to the best interests of the town and the residents you represent. Voting as if you are the ones living in the closest home to this project, as if you are the one personally being affected. Isn't it your purpose here to do that, to put the residents in Webster above all else, above politics, greed, grant money, outside pressures? And that's especially true for those of you, and you know who you are, who came to the planning board meetings, who voiced that you were against this project, and who you would be betraying every single resident who voted you into your position based on you saying that you would vote no. And really, shame on anyone for going back on their word and betraying anyone by even considering doing otherwise. And just mentioning the planning board in closing, they did their job, they followed their rules, they followed their guidelines, and ensured all the appropriate boxes were checked to move things on to the next step, to put this in your hands now. But I believe you're really supposed to be voting more with your conscience, keeping in mind what's best for the integrity of our town and all its residents. So all I ask is that you please keep our town and your responsibility to it and its residents, everyone who lives here, at the forefront of your minds, to please vote no to this project in this location. Thank you.
Thank you.